What up, Cucks? It's your boy, The Hater. And I was looking through my Hulu recorded things, my DVR things on Hulu, and I noticed that there was an episode of Dynamite that was 5 hours. So I decided to watch it. Turns out it wasn't 5 hours. Hulu made a mistake. But it was a 2-hour episode that I watched. Now, obviously, I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't have time to do that. But I did watch the first match, mostly. Again, I skipped around because I already knew it was going to be a 1-hour match because someone told me. So it's like, what can we do about that, right? We're not watching an hour of wrestling if it's a 1-hour match, because you know there's going to be a lot of resting periods. And there were, right? Because when I skipped around, a lot of times I would land on a period where it seemed like they were resting. But I did watch a substantial part of this match, and I can't believe I'm saying it. Like, I hope everyone understands. The Hater has to be consistent, and the Hater has to be fair. And I will say this, MJF earned my respect. He earned my respect in this match, right? I'm not saying that he's anything more than a glorified Miz, but I ain't never seen Miz do a 1-hour match. MJF and Will Ospreay have a 1-hour motherfuck. You know what I'm saying? The match, for what it was excellent. I have some criticisms, of course, like number one, it's for a jobber title. Number two, the finish was stupid. But beyond that, the amount of moves that I saw MJF do in this match, and I know it's not always about the moves, but in a 1-hour match, it sure as shit is about the moves, right? Will Ospreay basically did every AJ Styles move imaginable. The phenomenal forearm, the Argentine bomb, the Styles Clash even, probably some other ones that I didn't see as I was skipping around. MJF, same thing. He did shoulder breakers. He did like a power bomb on his knee. He did all his little moves, you know? He did the power of the punch with the ring. You know, he did a lot of things here, you know? And there were moments in the match that I actually enjoyed, right? So there's a part where Will Ospreay is coming towards MJF, and MJF is like, please, we can talk about this. Something as simple as that, right? Just to show that he's the cowardly heel he's always been. You know, that was a nice touch, but nothing was better than when Will Ospreay was about to dominate him, and MJF just spits in his face. Like, this should have been Will Ospreay slaps him and then hits the Tiger Driver 91. That should have been the moment where he hits the Tiger Driver 91. And that was the end of the match. The end of the match was Will Ospreay picking him up for the Tiger Driver and then not following through, not doing it, right? Because, oh, this move is going to hurt people. Now, I think normally that could be a nice touch, right? But there is a problem. And the problem with that is that earlier in the match, he was going to tombstone pile drive him onto the apron, right? Now, I understand the Tiger Driver is being presented as this very protected move that could kill you, right? And it is a dangerous move. But nevertheless, he had no problems trying to kill MJF with other moves, like doing a Styles Clash on the apron and doing all these other dangerous moves, right? But now he hesitated. And it'd be fine if he hesitated like in the middle of the match. This is the end of the match and there was like a minute left. That's another thing I didn't like. For some reason, a countdown clock appeared on the Titantron. I don't know why they did this, right? It really kills kayfabe because that just means that they were aware that this match would go an hour, right? Because they had the countdown ready. We don't see this generally speaking, right? Like there's no countdown saying 10 minutes left, right? But in the last minute or so, they did this. There was another spot that I thought was brilliant. I thought this was like one of the best AEW spots of all time. Will Ospreay is getting ready to do the hidden blade, right? MJF is on his knees, like in the center of the ring. Will Ospreay is by one of the turnbuckles, and he's about to charge in and do it. MJF is looking at the Titantron, and he uses the Titantron to dodge the move last second, right? This was great. Now, I was thinking, what if there's a delay? Because I could see what was happening. There's a delay, he just gets blasted, right? But I'm sure they had other cues. But the point was, this was the first time I remember someone acknowledging that the wrestler has the power to use his fucking eyes to see what's going on around them, right? Just like, for example, if you've ever been to a wrestling show and one wrestler, like let's say the heel gets a chair and the face doesn't realize that the heel got a chair. The fans are going to say, he's got a chair, right? It's just natural instinct. But then the wrestler has to pretend he didn't hear this or he didn't understand this, right? The wrestler has to maintain kayfabe in the context of, oh, like, I'm not supposed to be aware that there's fans here, right? But there are fans there. And I thought that this was a good way to use that, right? This is a TV show at the end of the day. So why wouldn't you use the context of the TV show to help you win? I can't think of another time this was done. So I really, really enjoyed this match, right? It pains me to say it because I don't like MJF, and I think Will Ospreay is overrated. But they're both starting to grow on me significantly. You know, this was probably my favorite AEW match of all time. And that's saying a lot. Now, I haven't seen any of the pay-per-views really, but nevertheless, I gotta say that this was good. I can't say anything about this that is negative. I mean, obviously the botches here and there for a 1 hour match are gonna be excused, right? It's like in 1 hour, you're gonna make mistakes. Like compare that to like every Sasha Banks match where it's like 10 minutes and there's like 100 times more botches, So there you have it. Next up, what happened next? I believe the next thing that we saw was a little package from apparently last week. I completely missed this. But Mariah May, I think her name is, betrayed Toni Storm. The package was excellent. I gotta be honest. There's a part where it just shows Toni Storm's face just covered in blood, right? It didn't look real because eventually, like, that would have like, I mean, we'll see. Maybe she has like a massive scar on her head, but it's just like, it was just brutal, man. Like that was like, she was just bleeding profusely. Mariah May was hitting her with the heel of the stiletto. It was badass. It was gruesome in a good way. And this is especially accentuated by Toni Storm's gimmick, right? This was like seeing Marilyn Monroe beaten within an inch of her life. This is classic wrestling, and I really enjoyed it. Then we had a segment between the Young Cucks, Kazuchika Okada, and eventually Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks comes out. They ask her to do the dance, and basically Okada gets a hard-on. This was stupid, it was a waste of time, and it reminded me that we're back to AEW. Meanwhile, the Acclaimed joined Team AEW along with the underrated Mark Briscoe and the overrated fucking Swerve. But whatever, that's the way they're going, that's the way they're going. We eventually get a match. It's Mercedes Moné versus Nyla Rose. I mean, I don't see the point of this match. Obviously, Mercedes Moné is going to win, and obviously she does. You know what I'm saying? Then we've got Okada versus Swerve. So this one is kind of dumb, right? Because we have two champions, and the match is whatever, but the match eventually is ruined by the Young Bucks coming in at, I mean, I don't want to say an inopportune moment because, like, Okada was on the losing end, but this wasn't made clear enough, right? It wasn't like, oh, okay, certainly Swerve is going to win. Like, if he had hit the Swerve stomp from the top and then went for the pin and they attacked him, that would have been better. But he was going to climb the turnbuckle to do the Swerve stomp. So this was a premature interference, and it ultimately led to nothing because what did the Young Cucks think was going to happen? They attack him, and then we get, like, the prelude to the blood and guts, right? We get what we expect, a 4-on-4 brawl. So it's like they didn't like get the upper hand on him and win, right? They just beat him up a little bit, and they're like, oh, they're trying to get him to stop, to like not be there at blood and guts. And it's like, by doing what? Like, they didn't even bring in chairs. So that was really stupid, I thought. It ruined a match that would have been, mid. Nothing crazy, but that was the last match. We didn't have many matches, but we had 3, and one of them was 1 hour. So, like, in terms of, like, the amount of wrestling you got, this was pretty good. This was a pretty good episode. Unfortunately, I personally cannot get past the fact, and that is this. Even though the first match is presented as a big deal, and it involves a big deal field, it still is for a jobber title, and fundamentally, why the hell do I care about either of these guys, right? In fact, the biggest drawback of this match is that MJF, who just returned after being the world champion, obviously he's now abandoned his storyline with Adam Cole, and now he's content with being the mid-card champion. It's like they really think that Swerve Strickland is this world beater, and he's not. So I'm not saying that Swerve Strickland is a bad champion, but I think that Swerve should take a backseat to someone like MJF returning, right? MJF is your guy now. He's the closest thing you got to an AEW guy, and he should be the world champion. This match could have happened between, if you want to do with Will Ospreay, just have Will Ospreay beat, beat Swerve Strickland last time. He becomes champion. MJF beats him like this, and now you have like a 3-man main event scene. Will Ospreay wants his rematch because he got screwed. Then we've got Swerve Strickland wants the rematch that he never got, right? And MJF can go back to being the main event heel champion, which fits him well, right? And after this match, I mean, I think the fans like me are now more likely to look forward to an MJF match. So that's where we stand. You know what I mean? And that's the problem that I had with this. So the show was pretty good. I got to give it at least an 8 out of 10 just because of the effort, right? You got to give props to efforts. Efforts are important. You know what I mean? It's important to give it your all. And from the booking perspective, in the booking department, right? They did try to do something unique here. they try to do something that hasn't been done either in a long time or, arguably ever, right? We haven't had these situations where we have, a 1 hour match on TV. It happens, but very rarely. And in fact, it happens so rarely that doing it still feels special, right? Now, the problem with this is they don't have the bandwidth nor the talent to follow through, right? We're never gonna get to a situation where now next week's episode is gonna be better. So AEW is still on the rocks, but I do like what they did. I thought this was entertaining, and one way to legitimize people, like for example, I don't feel like MJF and Will Ospreay are great. I still don't feel that, but I am one step closer to feeling it. And I know what some of you are thinking. What the hell, hater? You've been shitting a lot on WWE recently. What are you, an AEW mark now? Absolutely not. But the hater is what he has always been. And that is two things, motherfuckers. Number one, consistent. And number two, honest. I am a man of the people. And the people rely on the hater to give it to them straight. You know what I mean? Just like the Bret Hart. Just like the Bret Hart video, right? I'm going to say it like I see it. And when I say it like I see it, I'm also going to give all the caveats that are relevant. Like, for example, I explained, I base my opinion on Bret Hart, not on his in-ring career, but on what I know about him. Because I've never seen the guy wrestle, really. Maybe here and there, right? But I'm not this Bret Hart guy. So it's very possible, for example, that if I did a wrestler review, the things that I said yesterday, like they would knock him down a few pegs. But if he's had like great matches and great runs that I'm not aware of, I would say he's a good wrestler. But I'm going with what I know. And what I know is the truth. And the truth is what I know. Because the hater is all about keeping it real, keeping it 100 with all of his loyal followers whom the hater loves dearly. Or as the kids say nowadays, keeping it a buck, keeping it a stack. It's like really, like honestly, the lingo has really fallen in the last like 20 years. It's like a bunch of dorks now saying dorky things, and now we have these like adults saying this. It's like some rapper being like, I'm gonna keep it a stat. And it's like, shut the fuck up. You never made it. You're a jobber in the rap game. But you know about, being cool. If you were cool, you would have sold more than 3 albums. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's all the haters got to say about that. And the hater keeps it real, cuckolds.